interfered with by the Russia hoax. It made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it.
Yeah. I love how he's calling the Russia hoax, and then like Putin's like, idiot. Like he knows damn well that I had something to do with that.
Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Is this it? Was that it? Is that all they did? Oh, are you kidding me? Are they they're not gonna talk to the media or anything? They didn't field questions? But in my perspective, there is you should not enable this Russian regime to believe that all they have to do is start a war with you, and then a part of the agreement to stop is that you have to give them land. That's stupid. Trump and Putin are live right now, right as I'm about to start stream, so I feel like we should probably see what that's all about first before we get into all the other stuff I have planned for today.
For this joint press conference. And again, we have been saying here that President Trump had, leading into this summit, said that at the very least, I will address reporters on the backside, even if it's not.
It's so like disorganized, and it's just like, what is going on? How can something like this be so disorganized? It's very foreboding, I will say.
Уважаемый господин президент, дамы и господа, наши переговоры прошли в конструктивной и взаимоуважительной атмосфере. Были весьма обстоятельными и полезными. Хотел бы еще раз поблагодарить моего...
Are we kidding? You came to America and I know you speak English. I know you do. You speak English, please.
...коллегу за предложение приехать на Аляску.
Never thought I would say that I want to hear the orange man speak.
The conflict in Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. That was very profound. And I will say that I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on. Most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate. And I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration who've come here, Scott and John Radcliffe. Thank you very much. But we have some of our really great leaders. They've been doing a phenomenal job. We also have some tremendous Russian business representatives here. And I think, everybody wants to deal with us. We've become the hottest country anywhere in the world in a very short period of time. And
God, he keeps repeating that over and over and over. He was talking to the leader of Saudi Arabia or something. And they're like, yeah. He keeps saying over and over, we're the hottest country in the world. Everyone wants to be us right now. And he won't stop saying it. He just says it every single time he gets a chance.
We look forward to that. We look forward to dealing. We're going to try and get this over with. We really made some great progress today. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax. It made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it.
Yeah. I love how he's calling the Russia hoax, and then Putin's like, idiot. He knows damn well that I had something to do with that. He knows it's not a hoax.
I think he's probably seen things like that during the course of his career. He's seen it all. But we had to put up with the Russia hoax. He knew it was a hoax, and I knew it was a hoax. But what was done was very criminal. But it made it harder for us to deal as a country in terms of the business and all of the things that we'd like to have dealt with. But we'll have a good chance when this is over. So just to put it very quickly, I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell them what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One.
I'm sorry. I can't help but point out that he is so orange in comparison to him that those optical illusion videos or those pictures where it's it shows the same color on two different. You know what I'm talking about? Same color looks different, like the one where it's the black and the white. You know what I'm talking about? He's so orange that even though the background is the background looks so much more blue, just because he contrasts so starkly with his bright orange skin that it makes the blue pop out more than it does for him. Even though there's no filter, it looks like there's a saturation filter on this side than there is on this side. It's insane.
One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there. I would like to thank President Putin and his entire team.
What are these?
Whose faces, who I know in many cases, other than that, whose faces I get to see all the time in the newspapers. You're almost as famous as the boss, but especially this one right over here. But we had some good.
God,
meetings.
Why are you flattering him? It's so disgusting, dude. Oh my God. Holy.
Good productive meetings over the years, and we hope to have that in the future. But let's do the most productive one right now. We're going to stop really 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, thousands of people a week from being killed, and President Putin wants to see that as much as I do. So again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon, and probably
Yeah,
see
thanks,
you again
buddy.
very soon. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for invading a country with no right to do so, and leading us to this point where we have to negotiate about getting you the out of there. And by the way, selfishly asking for Eastern Ukraine all this time, has selfishly asked for full relinquishment of Eastern Ukraine as well as Crimea, despite the fact that he's getting absolutely curb stomped right now
Very much,
by
Vladimir.
the Ukrainians.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I can see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Is this it? Was that it? Is that all they did? Oh, are you kidding me? Are they they're not gonna talk to the media or anything? They're not gonna talk to the media. Oh my God! Are they seriously not gonna talk to the media? Did they? They must have talked to the media earlier. I don't understand.
Vladimir Putin first
They
addressing
didn't
the
field questions? I did see what I did see was them sitting down and like people are asking them questions and they're just sitting there doing nothing. That's all I figured that maybe that like I don't know. I figured that they at some point were going to answer questions.
Trump addressing reporters as well, talking about what he called, this is President Trump, an extremely productive meeting. That's how he characterized the summit. He said many points we agreed to. There are some points left, including one point that's pretty significant. Did not go into detail about what that.
Yeah, I wonder. It's probably like him saying, "Hey, I want all of Eastern Ukraine. Like I want that." And Trump's like, "I don't think they're going to say yes to that." And listen, buddy, you're getting completely crushed right now in this war. I think the last thing you can do is bargain for this. All right. I think at this point, just call it a wash. Okay. You have been humiliated. Why don't you look a little virtuous for a second and be like, you know what? Ukraine can do their own thing. That's totally fine. And just like look like the good guy for a few seconds, Putin, at least. I mean, everyone knows you're not, but at least like try to like, there's a way for you to maneuver this where you don't look like a total piece of shit. And I highly advise you take it, or else you're going to continue to get embarrassed by the will of the Ukrainian people for the rest of your life. Like at this rate, I don't see yeah, it's just ridiculous.
That point was. He did say we're going to save thousands of lives, and he believes that President Putin wants that as well, but didn't clearly say flat out that they have agreed to a ceasefire that begins, whenever. That was not declared by either one of these leaders. He also said that he would be contacting NATO and calling President Zelensky, as we had been reporting in our coverage earlier today. President Trump earlier this week promised that he would call President Zelensky after this summit. So a clear indication from President Trump that call has not happened yet, though he fully intends to do so. He also intends to call his European allies in the EU, leaders of, I gather, the UK, France, other countries.
Yeah, all of those people, by the way, all of them hate this guy and want Ukraine, like want you to side with Ukraine. I don't know, like, what are you going to do? I remember, what was it, the German chancellor or whatever, the second he got elected, he came and visited America to speak with Donald Trump. And like the first thing he said was like, we need you to stand up for Ukraine.
He feels the same way. He wants to see it ended. Would you like to say something?
Absolutely. And I'm here, Mr. President, to talk with you later on how we could contribute to that goal. And we all are looking for measures and for instruments to bring this terrible war to an end.
Just out of virtue of being a European country, they like care enough about that. 3 hours ago, Trump says he won't be happy if Putin does not agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine during Alaska summit. No shot.
That have been involved in the coalition that has supported Ukraine from the very beginning. I want to bring in Mary Bruce, who is in the press briefing room. And Mary, if you can hear me, I'm just bringing the audience up to speed here on what we have just witnessed here together live on the air. Again, President Trump calling this extremely productive, saying many points agreed to, some points left. He said one point
extremely productive
is pretty significant, but he suggested that perhaps we could get there. I did not hear, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Perhaps we can get there. Okay, first off, obviously, anyone who knows anything about this knows that they're talking about Eastern Ukraine. There's like this little sliver. It's like Mariupol and Crimea and Ukraine. Hold on. They basically want all of this. So they keep Kyiv and stuff. I don't know. I wonder do they keep Kharkiv? They must. There's no way they take Kharkiv as well. But also, like, this is not. They wanted all of Ukraine. They wanted all of it. They were supposed to have taken Kyiv. Remember that thing was like, oh, like we're gonna have like they were supposed to have Kyiv by like day like 2 or 3 or something, or like 2 weeks after, or some like that. Ridiculous. And it's been years at this point. Years at this point, and they have still. And by the way, it's the whole reason they invaded the Crimean Peninsula was pretty much so they could like roll through them, right? Like they did this like in 2014, and even then they still haven't been able to even. They have a few territories, obviously, but like they don't even have. What they're asking for. They're asking more land than they've been able to conquer. Is the funniest part. They literally have. It's so sad and pathetic. This giant country, one of the biggest militaries in the world, can't even like from Ukraine. They can't even beat Ukraine. It's so sad and pathetic.
I did not hear any declaration of a ceasefire.
No, you certainly did not. And I have to say, I don't think I've ever been left after hearing from the President of the United States with so many questions. They both came out in these short remarks suggesting that progress has been made. Vladimir Putin using the word agreement, saying, I expect that today's agreement will be a good starting point. The President referencing the fact that they aren't quite there, which hinted at the point that they didn't get, it appears, the full ceasefire that the President...
Oh, Donald Trump better be really angry. I want to hear him in the next couple of days on Truth Social tweeting out how angry he is at Vladimir Putin. Or even, why isn't he angry there? Why he said, look, it's right here, Fox News, by the way, so it's not like some liberal propaganda. Trump says he won't be happy if Putin does not agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine during Alaska summit. President Donald Trump said Friday he won't be happy if he does not walk away from his meeting with President Vladimir Putin with a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. Trump told Fox News' Brett Baer he doesn't like to have too many expectations, but I'd like to have a ceasefire. I wouldn't be thrilled if I didn't get it. Everyone says you're not going to get a ceasefire. It'll take place on the second meeting, but I'm not going to be happy with that because I don't know. I'm starting to think that maybe Trump realizes that like he needs to just side with Ukraine because it's just like the morally correct position, and he's really not gaining any favor from the war continuing. And I think ultimately he is on the side of Ukraine, but he's such a pussy that he won't just like have some balls with Vladimir Putin. Yeah. Art of the deal, by the way. This is the master deal maker, right? I was supposed to get the 90 deals in 90 days, and like the tariffs were going to fix the economy and all that shit, and like nothing's really happened. And now we got the art of the deal, like where he's navigating the ceasefire. He's getting the ceasefire. By the way, he said on day one that this war would be over. I think, didn't he, or maybe this was Israel-Palestine, he implied that he was going to get it done before he was even in office, right? That might have been Israel-Palestine, but yeah, holy shit, it's so embarrassing.
That President Trump was hoping for, but he kept alluding to this progress. What is the progress? That is the big question, and one that we still do not have the answer to. This was incredibly vague, and I have to say, with quite literally the entire world watching, with the future of Ukraine hanging in the balance, to not have any clarity here is pretty astounding. Now, President Trump said he was going, obviously, to be speaking with Ukrainian President Zelensky. He was hoping that coming out of this meeting, that they were going to have a ceasefire, and that he was going to be announcing a trilateral meeting, that he was going...
This guy's spamming. Ultimate deal maker. Couldn't even make a deal. Ultimate deal maker. Couldn't even make a deal. True.
Announcing that they were finally going to get Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky in the same room. It seems we are still a ways away from that, David.
So, Mary, perhaps I'll give you a little break here. For our audience at home, we're going to stay on the air through 7:30 Eastern here for another 20 minutes or so. We're going to let our White House teams do some reporting here in the meantime. Mary and Rachel Scott also traveling with the president to try to see if we can get some clarity from the White House about what this agreement is, because you did hear Vladimir Putin there at the top of the press conference, as Mary just alluded to, and I heard it as well. Vladimir Putin saying that they had reached an agreement, though he did not offer any details of what this agreement would be. Vladimir Putin talking about the relationship between the U.S. and Russia.
Oh, yeah, we didn't even get a chance to get into this yet. This is disgusting. They rolled out the red carpet for him and everything. Disgusting, dude. This guy is, like, okay, here's my problem with the whole Ukraine thing, is that, like, you can get into the weeds of the history of it or whatever, which I've been doing, and it's... There's a lot of shit there, okay? You can get into the weeds of it, but something that I've learned throughout reading about all this shit is, there's, like, you can really just make a very philosophical argument in terms of if you are American, you likely enjoy being in America. And why do you enjoy being in America? Because there is a high priority of liberty and sovereignty. And Vladimir Putin is challenging both of those concepts in Ukraine. Now, Ukraine isn't America, but I feel like you should appreciate the values of America, not because they're afforded to you, but because they are universally good. You know, the right to liberty and sovereignty are good things. And the fact that people will enjoy those things, right, in America, but not think that everyone deserves to have them is like disgusting. And so at the end of the day, I feel like that if you are an American and you're proud of being an American and you like being an American and you like the things that come with being an American, you should probably be really pissed off the fact that oh my God, through some, like, even just like the Budapest Memorandum, the fact that after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, right, Russia and Ukraine, you know, got together and they said, we're cool, you give us back the nuclear warheads and we will recognize your sovereignty forever and we'll never f with you. And we have Poland and the US over here, and they're also going to like promise to, like, you know, and I think Belarus and stuff obviously was involved as well, but for this, it's just like obviously Ukraine. But yeah, we're not going to f with you and they're going to have your back if we f with you. And the problem is they invaded them in 2014, invaded them again in 2022. They don't give a f. They're breaking their promise, first off, and they're violating the sovereignty because, like, Vladimir Putin is, like, ass mad that, like, the USSR doesn't exist anymore. It's so gross. It's just disgusting. I feel like anyone who, like, even remotely cozies up to this, let alone is, like, promoting what they're doing or even defending what they're doing, is disgusting, dude.
The chilliness to that relationship for a very long time. He said it was time to re-engage both countries. He talked about...
This is a traitor. This is to be fair, Donald Trump is a traitor, so I'm not surprised that he's shaking hands and smiling and riding in a limousine with him, right? I get it. They're both traitors, but this is a traitor. The president of the United States should not be so happy to see this slimy. It's disgusting.
He talked about Alaska too, by the way, and the history of Alaska, which, by the way, was sold to the U.S. back in 1867. Many of you have read that in the coverage leading up to the summit. Sold for $7.2 million back in 1867. Talked about the history of Alaska, the common heritage, he called it. Vladimir Putin then went on to talk about the economy and about trade with the U.S. Talked about the trustworthy nature of the conversation with President Trump and the others who were in the room from the Trump administration. And he used the word...
Yeah, two megalomaniac, narcissistic are treacherous, by the way. Great. I'm sure they got along real well.
We all took note of that. The control room did as well. And we were hoping that when President Trump began speaking, that perhaps he would shed some light on what this agreement is. So when President Trump began speaking, you all heard it with us at home.
This is like, I'm sorry. I'm not saying that the Israel-Palestine stuff isn't a big deal. This is like the biggest geopolitical like thing going on right now. This is huge. This is a really big deal. Okay. This isn't like just like this isn't just like a little obscure war in some like random part of Africa between two countries that nobody in the West gives a fuck about. This is a huge deal. This is a very, very big deal. Okay. And America has like a lot of ties to Ukraine. I mean, obviously there's not like I don't think there's like a direct allyship and they're not a part of like NATO by any means, but like there's still like a lot of ties within the history of Ukraine to America. And we've kind of always like had like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, kind of like we have your back kind of thing. And the fact that not only is he being so comfortable with this slimy, disgusting short loser, but also the fact that you're not going to give the media any closure at all. You're not even going to talk about the deal. You're going to be like, yeah, we agreed on some things. Other things we didn't agree. This is the guy who can't stop talking about himself and how great he is and how all the shit he gets done, right? He can't stop talking about it. But now it's like he doesn't want to say anything. Give me a break. I guarantee you, Putin dog walked him. He absolutely led the conversation, and Trump would probably sound like a during it, dude. Will future historians say America fell after Trump's second election? America will probably only recover. I think MAGA is like a temporary thing. I really don't think that it depends. I mean, I guess it really depends on what Trump does. Mainly after the midterms is where it could get a little sticky, because if the left is able to take back the House and the Senate, right, then going to get a lot harder for Trump. It's going to get way harder. And I start to worry what ways that he'll try to work around those things. When the Democrats take back the Senate and the House, I would anticipate he's not going to be able to get anything done. That being said, it's very possible that he'll just find a way to, like, I don't know, spam executive orders, like declare a national state of emergency and just basically just circumvent the entire legislative process and just, you know, kind of a lot of shit. That's when shit could get really up. But I don't know yet. I don't know. I mean, it really depends on what happens. I think that Trump will not really be able to get anything done in terms of damaging the country. He's going to do a lot of bad shit, But I think long term, I don't think like America's going to fall because of Trump. I think ultimately the MAGA movement will come to an end. There's really nobody that can fill his shoes. He might have, in a sense, completely contaminated the political climate in terms of like how people talk to each other. But I think that overall, like there's probably like it's easy to be like doomer about it. Everything's probably going to be fine. Like everything will be okay. I genuinely do believe that. Like I really do think everything will be fine. Now, as far as what could happen between now and the midterms and then the midterms to when he's out of office, I don't know. A lot of things can go wrong in that time. But right now, I'm optimistic. I think it'll be okay for the most part. And also, it has been comforting to see his approval rating is going down with Republicans very slowly. But you know what? I don't know. I don't really know. But the debt, I know America's always in debt, to be fair. And he's not making it any better. He made the debt a lot worse, actually. But I don't know. I have genuine hope that everything will be fine. And I don't just hope that. I'm like pretty optimistic that that is the case. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think it'll be fine.
And, obviously the Russians have several sticking points. Ukraine has a lot of sticking points, and we don't know exactly what Donald Trump believes was agreed upon in this meeting. But it does not sound, and he certainly did not announce any kind of ceasefire. And that is what Donald Trump said he wanted. And it doesn't appear that's what he got. Is there progress in that relationship? Vladimir Putin seemed very happy about the meeting and getting to meet with Donald Trump again. You heard the president also bring up what he calls the Russia hoax. That in 2018 is what he talked about a lot. But this meeting, there is so much at stake. The future of Ukraine, people on the ground, war, and the incredible toll that war has taken over these past 3 years.
By the way, like I think like more Russians have died than Ukrainians in this war. Like this is bad. The fact that they can say we took 2 cities basically in Ukraine. Like we took two districts. And what was the cost of that? Well, we're completely humiliated on the world stage because we look like idiots. And also, yeah, like a million plus people have died. And this is just like since 2022, by the way. Russia nears 1 million war casualties in Ukraine. Nice job, you idiot. Nearly 1 million Russian soldiers have been killed or injured in the country's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. According to a new study, a grisly measure of the human cost of Russian President Vladimir Putin's unprovoked 3-year assault on his neighbor. Retard. That's what you get. I don't even, like... I don't know. I try not to dehumanize Russians too much, but it's almost like... Good. Good! I'm glad. No. It's not... Can't be too mad at Russians, I guess. It's not really their fault that their leader is a retard, because my leader's a retard too, okay? So I get it. Trump, Putin. Oh yeah, there's this picture right here. Look at this. What a horrible picture. They look so up. Am I crazy? They look like they're made out of plastic. They look like they're made out of wax. God. They just look so up, don't they? What's with Trump's hands? Look at his hands. Ugh! What the is that? Ew. Disgusting. He looks like a corpse. Look at how pale his hands are compared to his face. Oh god, he's so up. Up freaks. Doesn't he have some health problem that makes him swollen? Yeah, his ankles, dude. Donald Trump ankles. What was I gonna say? Here it is. What the dude? It's like they're bursting out of his shoes. That's so awesome. Like what the his feet look so small. Like look at him compared to this guy. He's like the same size and his ankles are like half the size. What the They're like full of fluid and pus. Anyway, here's my thing with Ukraine. So right now, for example, Israel-Palestine. Palestine is getting absolutely in that war, right? And I always say that they should probably cut their losses, and obviously, like, Hamas will never do this, but like ideally, like the leadership would try to find a way for Israelis and Palestinians to coexist. Maybe go back to those like original borders that they had proposed or something. I don't know too much about Israel Palestine, right? But then you talk about Ukraine, it is completely different. You know why? Because if Hamas was like dog walking Israel the way that Ukraine is dog walking Russia, I'd be like, that no, like keep fighting, right? And that's how I feel about Ukraine. It's like, why would you enable them, right? Why would you, like, you can clearly win this war. Unfortunately, Ukrainians will continue to die. Civilians will continue to die. And I guess it's not really my place to say as an American whether or not they should or shouldn't. But in my perspective, there is like, you should not enable this regime, this Russian regime, to believe that all they have to do is start a war with you. And then a part of the agreement to stop is that you have to give them land. That's stupid. Absolutely no way that I would ever agree to something like that if I was the Ukrainian people, because they are going to win the war. If this war continues, Ukraine will win eventually. And the idea that you would like end it and give them land just so they could probably fuck with you later anyway, that absolutely that. I hate the idea of them agreeing. I want Zelensky to say, you no, you can get the fuck out of my country and never ask me for anything ever again, and leave us the fuck alone, and uphold the agreements that we have. And just like, it's like, Russia's so big too. It's so stupid. Russia's so big. Like, why do you need Ukraine? It's so stupid. And it's funny too, actually, getting into the history of Ukraine a little bit. There's not a good argument for this, but there's a better argument for Russians being derived from Ukraine than the other way around. Like, people always say that Ukraine is historically tied to Russia, is a part of Russia, but like historically that doesn't actually work, because I'm pretty sure like Kiev as like an empire, like the first empires of Kiev were like, it was called Kievan Rus, and that was like in 400 BC or AD actually. And then the first, like, I think it was called the Muscovy or something, like the first, like Moscow, which was like the epicenter for Russia, was like 1,000 years later. They have no claim to Ukraine. I want this war to end with full Russian retreat. I want the white flags going up. I want a victory for Ukraine. A ceasefire is not a victory. And Wednesday, 2 European diplomats familiar with the matter told CNN that Trump suggested he would push for a ceasefire at today's talks, which are currently underway. If Russia agrees to a ceasefire, Ukraine's attention could then turn to its next priority, a seat at the table for the next meeting. Kyiv is hoping today's talks are a prelude to a three-way summit between the leaders of Ukraine, Russia, and the U.S. This needs to happen very badly, but Russia is going to be a petulant child, like forever. Everything concerning Ukraine must be discussed exclusively with Ukraine, Zelensky said. We must prepare a trilateral format for talks. Well, good luck. Good luck, man. I can't believe that they just like went up on stage and talked for like 2 minutes each and then just walked off. They didn't answer any questions. They didn't even say anything. It's so stupid. What was even the point of this? It's so stupid. You got nothing done. You didn't say anything to anybody. That's probably why Trump didn't want to say anything, because he just like, he didn't get anything done. He promised that he would get something done, and he didn't.